Allow others to take control of their lives as you take control of only yours.
Sí, en vez de tratar de manipular a los
Ese es
demás.
mi epitaph, ¿verdad? De que, ¿sabes?
Allegro WIPR 91.3 FM presents Reflections, hosted by Jorge González, a fresh new way to look at events with our well-being in mind.
Welcome to Reflections. Your host, Jorge González. Hope you've had a good day if it's Thursday. Wishing you a good day. Buenos dias. It's a repeat program on Friday. I have my repeat guest. It's been quite a while, maybe 3 or 4 months. I don't know.
Yes, more like
Sylvia Fernandez, Colorado, doctor, Dr. Soul. And we had a great session the last time. And I had in my mind, there was a area that she mentioned about gentle teaching. And it seemed to fall within this area of Proyecto Rotario Pro Paz and well-being and peace. And I kept in my mind, I said, I have to get Sylvia back for her to explain to me what this gentle teaching is all about. And of course, in this particular moment in Puerto Rico's situation, emotional situation, the whole area of creating peace and our well-being is even more important. And we're concentrating now on adolescents, but I think it's all the way
all of
across,
us. Mhm.
you know, from the baby to the senior adult, terminally ill. It goes all across. The need for us to help people feel better. And so, welcome, Sylvia.
Thank you. Thank you for having me again, Jorge.
And to my great surprise, she brought a book because I thought it was a concept. She told me she had studied and certified in it, but I had not realized. I know she had written 3 books, but I'm not sure she mentioned what they were, but I didn't have them consciously in my mind. But she brought the book, so
Yes,
one of her
I
3 books
did.
is
Gentle Teaching, a philosophy of life for a culture of peace. It's one of
Okay.
them.
And I mentioned to Sylvia sort of the share, a recent book that I read and we discussed last week in the program, For When I Am Gone by Steve Letter, a rabbi, and I thought that the kind of start the program. I told her, what would you, and that's the way I ended my program last week. And I said, what would you want your epitaph to say? And she said, well, what did you say? And I said, well, I gave it was a tough question because it's a very short little statement that you can put on your tombstone. I mean, you can't write a book.
No. Well, you could.
No, but
Scan this code, QR
you
code,
could put a
QR
that's not a
code.
bad
There
idea
you
for
go.
today, yeah. But I came up with the following. He tried to distinguish what one can and should change in order to improve himself and others. That was, try to say what moves me most, and I hope people will think, was what.
Let's say it again so that they get the message.
He tried to distinguish what one can and should, which is even more important, change in order to improve himself and others. There's that statement, God help me distinguish, what I can and what I cannot change, and to know the difference. That's kind of that one. So it's not very original. And then, of course,
but it's important.
And then the other is, the importance, first of all, of improving yourself, and that's why I have this program
To help others.
to help improve others. And at the same time I'm having this program and discussing how we can improve. I'm improving because every
Definitely.
time I come in, I have somebody like you. I improve. I learn from you, and that's it's
It's
symbiotic.
an ongoing process, learning
Exactly,
from each
yeah.
other every day.
And there's this, I mentioned, and you were kind of surprised, but one of the book I did know, and I stole it from her.
You didn't steal it. You didn't steal it.
It's
One of the other books.
yeah. So I said, because you had about 3 or 4 copies. I said, can I have this one? And she said, she looked
Oh,
at me.
I
don't-
remember now.
Your look wasn't,
At the Rotary
I'm not
Club.
that happy, but I guess I gotta say yes. But it's basically finding balance and meaning every day, and it's 365 positive thoughts. And by Sylvia M. Fernandez, Colorado, PhD. She has a PhD in both clinical and in industrial psychology. And with respect to the number 170, I've been reading, off and on, usually taking them by groups of 10, and then choosing 1 or 2 as we've gone along with, what a nuevo día, the para comenzar tu día. I use those as a every once in a while. It's not consistent, but pretty often I use them. And 117 says, move always towards self-improvement, for it will give you personal peace and harmony with the world. And that's 117, and that's pretty close to my epitaph.
Yes, it is.
And the number second says, 118 says, allow others to take control of their lives as you take control of only yours. It basically says, try to keep
Stay
out
out
of
of
other
everybody
people's
else's.
But there are a lot of people, and grandchildren and children and associates in your law firm and in all walks of life in all the areas that do want to improve and do want to learn from you, but it's a very subtle, what can you change and what you should change, and even with your spouse, it's an ongoing what's it called?
Growth.
Query and difficulty, just, okay, I'm not gonna be able to change this, let's live with it, I've got to be the changing person. And but it's not an easy yes or no, it's an ongoing, continuous. I'm 81 and I'm still struggling with when what can be changed and what should I try to change is a constant struggle. But so I gave you my epitaph.
Yeah.
And I gave you a forewarning.
Yes,
and
yes.
you kind of copped out. You said,
I
well,
did.
I said, well, they can put whatever.
They can put whatever they want. I'm going to be gone by then.
Sylvia, don't give me that cop out. What would you like people to, if it's not on your epitaph, or as Steve Covey says, statements, whether you're there in the funeral and they're talking about you, or you have 7 days to live, and you're dealing with people at Rotary and at home and your parents and your children, whatever. What would you want them to think?
To remember
about
me
you,
by,
say,
or
so
something like
whatever,
that.
put it as you want. So, but let's put it the epitaph, which is really a short one, and don't cop out on me.
Okay, well, I think a friend of mine put it in the correct words when he said one time, when he was introducing me to people on my first book, he said something around the lines of, she has a problem, and her problem is she's obsessed with happiness.
Oh,
Yeah, so I think I like that. She was obsessed with happiness.
wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do you define? How do you define happiness? I'm going to be the last podcast that I was listening yesterday and today is this. I told you I wasn't too impressed. The Happiness Lab with Laurie Santos is one of my favorite. And this was, I don't remember the name, and if I did remember, I wouldn't tell it but this particular English, I guess,
Speaker.
psychologist,
Okay.
but he defined happiness as feeling comfortable. Feeling comfortable, which is the simplest, and then the person who was interviewing, or the moderator said, is it okay to say to feel okayed? To feel okayed. He said, well, if that word existed, that's pretty good, but to feel, comfortable. Well, okay. But what would you be you strive for happiness, and how would you define?
Yes, but
happiness?
I am so easily impressed. I am so easily feeling happy. I don't know where this comes from. Maybe I have some kind of disorder that they haven't
Well, they
added
say,
at the
you know,
at
they
the
say,
DSM.
well, you know,
But
they say that 30 to 40% of feeling happy to a great is genes, genetic. You know that some of us, I think you and I now that we're talking to each other, we're blessed. There's no other
yeah, oh
word
yes,
with
oh
with
yes,
with you know being positive, feeling happy, being and that is a genetic predisposition. That's that the in quote. I'm just in quote that the science says, and everything I read in this particular podcast is the same thing. He said 30. There's another one person said I've heard as high as 40, which doesn't answer the question because even people who have that predisposition and if they don't take care of it, they can go south. And there's still, 60-70% of that open area to develop, happiness. So, but I think we could put down as a fundamental that you basically from as long as you can remember, you've had a happy disposition.
yes,
You've been positive.
yes, and I give 99% of the credit to my mom. I think I mentioned it in the last interview with you that my mom always woke me up in the mornings with, she knocked on the door, she entered the room, gave me a kiss, good morning, until I was 26 that I left her home. So I think that is very precious. Many parents these days, they wake up their children either with their own phones, alarm, or they're yelling, we're late, or knocking on the door really, really
Banging on the
hard.
door.
Banging on the door is the correct word. So how can we live a little slower in the mornings? I tell parents, if you have a child, sing to them in the mornings or hum a song. Just the humming has been proven to help so many organs,
Yeah.
scientifically proven.
And you say the kiss, but I still love just
Brushing their
yeah,
hair.
just patting their heads,
Yes.
and their shoulders, and
Yes.
just slowly their cheek, and
Yes.
you know.
Ask how many parents do that these days.
You were telling a story, jumping in of a person that brought to you was,
Oh,
as
yeah.
a psychologist, in terms of how proud they were of their interaction
Their
with
their
with
parenting
children.
skills,
Tell-
and they were
tell the story.
worried.
Tell the story.
This mother, this was many years ago. Now I do more coaching, no psychology anymore. But this lady, she said, Sylvia, I don't know what's wrong with my children. I make it a point to spend time with them weekly, not daily, weekly. And then I raised an eyebrow like, and then I let her finish. And I said, well, explain to me, how is it that you spend this time with them? Well, Sylvia, every Friday, I spend 2 hours with my children. Either we go for a movie, or we watch TV together, or we cook something. 2 hours every Friday. That's nearly nothing.
And she was proud.
And she was so proud. And she, what can you tell me? And I said, I have no words. I had no words. I was astonished. I was afraid for the children. I was afraid that she was thinking that this was enough.
Right. She was sure. Well, she was more than enough.
She was thinking like, what's
That's
wrong with my
incredible.
children?
It's
Like
incredible.
it's not me. It's my children. What's wrong with? And I said, well, maybe a psychologist can help you deal with that. Because I was afraid.
You punted.
I was afraid to get in there and tell her this is nothing. You're doing nothing, absolutely nothing. In
Okay,
2
well,
hours.
you're not going to get away. What's your epitaph says that you
Obsessed with happiness.
You're obsessed with happiness.
Or
That's
joy.
pretty good.
And I would
your
say joy
definition
more
of
than-
and your definition of happiness.
Yeah, and I would
is?
say joy more than happiness, and then jumping from joy to excitement or appreciation. Because joy, to me, joy is better than happiness in the sense that it encompasses more. And joy, I feel joy going to the gym. I feel joy taking a shower. I feel joy cooking my meal. I felt joy coming here on my way here, even though it was raining and I had to change my shoes and this and that. it's joyful to me. Life is joyful to me. I remember one time I was in Culebra, and the island Culebra, and there was a rainbow. So I left my breakfast and I went to look at the rainbow, and I took videos and pictures and blah, blah, blah. And then the waiter was, "You've never seen a rainbow before?" Like he thought it was my first time.
Yeah.
So only this tells you how joyful I was to see a rainbow.
See.
And when you get so happy with such little things all the time, every day, there's nothing that's going to take away your peace.
That's incredibly statement. It says, you haven't seen it. So basically what he's saying is, I saw a rainbow when I was 4 years old, and ever since, every other rainbow I've seen, I just pay
No
I
surprise.
don't pay attention to it.
I mean,
Wow.
how rainbows surprise me and delight me in so many ways. How can this happen in nature? I mean, rain is amazing, the sun, the clouds, but a rainbow is so perfect.
Yeah. And they're
It's
so different.
and so beautiful.
They're very different.
And with the ocean in the back in Culebra, it was like, wow.
You know, it reminds me of the story of my father. He loved desserts, and I can still see him just savoring, every last little bit of a cream or what. But one of the ones was apple pie with chocolate ice cream.
Who doesn't love that?
And one day, he said, este es el mejor apple pie con mantecado que yo he comido. I said, pero Dad, it's Howard Johnson. We've had this hundreds of times, and pero ¿cómo puedes decir eso? And he says, es que el que estoy comiendo
ahora. I love that.
And it was, he didn't give it a lot of thought. It was just, this is the one I'm having.
This is the one I'm having now.
Going to the rainbow, and this is the rainbow I'm seeing now. There have been better ones, but this is fantastic. This is the one I'm seeing now.
This is the one I'm seeing
now. When we come back, I want to go into general teaching, but besides, we have about a minute before the end of the segment. And I just want to make sure that people know who you are. Sylvia is going to go into San Juan Rotary next week, and I met her, in San Juan. She took a sabbatical there for about 4 or 5 months, and one of the things I like, besides within the books, she brought someone to our San Juan Rotary, gave a presentation at one of our San Juan Rotary on writing a book, and I've got one just about ready to go, but I want you to sort of describe the 3 books and how you got into them, but I want to concentrate on this general teaching, which I think is so appropriate and so relevant to what's happening today, and to what this program's all about, and so that's. We've ended the segment, Hector, so we'll be back right after pause. My guest is Dr. Sylvia Fernandez Colorado. She's likes to be known as Dr. Soul, S-O-U-L, and we've become really good friends. I really appreciate the dialogue with her. So we'll be back after the pause.